The format of the webinar is very simple. It's simply, I'm going to be reading certain things that I wrote in the book, and I'm going to be extending and discussing a little bit more detail, and then asking some questions about that. And I would like you to ask me some questions, and then we're going to share a few ideas. I'm not going to explain a lot really related to myself personally. I did that last week in the webinar. The recording is on my webpage, on the question webpage. So if you wanted to go to thequestion.co and you click on webinars, you'll see recorded webinars, and we're going to put that, well, we have the recording from last week, and we're going to have this recording later there next week. In case some of you disconnect at some point, it will be there too. But what's important is to make sure that kind of like, this is interactive. I was saying that last time. I want to make sure that, I feel that you are there with me. Share some ideas that are related to personal and professional growth, NLP, hypnosis, and discuss basically thinking. Discuss thinking, internal dialogue, and making sure that we ask ourselves empowering questions. And hopefully I can provide you some insight on that, okay? So I want to thank you, all of you, for being here. I want to thank you, those that are completing in the survey now. And I'll just leave it there. And if not, just minimize it and ignore it, okay? You just can ignore it whenever you want, and then we can just literally carry on. Okay, so as I said, I'm Bernardo. I'm the founder of The Best You. I've been in personal professional growth personally 12, 15 years, but it was really, really related. Thank you so much, Fatima. It was really more around the idea of due to the adversities I had. And this book is kind of the summary of what it's a little bit a biography of my life, but it is kind of what I understand is important. I've been a massive fan of history and story, history and geography. And I've always loved, reading things about the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians and the Romans and the culture that we already have and the learnings that we should have learned from a lot of our ancestors. And that's part of the book. And I talk about kind of why it's so important for us to become the best version of ourselves, but how important it is to be able to learn how to think. A lot of the times I think people struggle with that understanding. I'm going to close this poll now. Thank you. So what I think is important is what I've learned with everything. We spend 1 year, 2 months, maybe socializing, but I'm telling you, I think we spend days or weeks exploring what is it we're here for, what our legacy is, to really sit around the table, either ourselves or on our own, or just simply making notes or having someone that is you can mastermind with, that you can discuss what is your purpose. And I open the book with a manifesto, and I talk about how incongruent a lot of people are in the personal development world. And I'm talking about authors, established thinkers, leaders, experts. I love that word, experts. So many experts out there that talk this talk, but then, they're just like completely the opposite. I highly recommend that they should read their own books. So I've seen a lot of incongruency, but then I've seen a lot of people that they're seminar junkies, book junkies. They attend all sorts of seminars, but they don't implement hardly anything of what they learn. And then they don't really spend any time thinking. And not only that, the quality of the thoughts are crap. So obviously I've had the advantage of learning NLP and working with Richard Bandler and having promoted, hundreds of events, that I've obviously understood the importance of learning NLP, but I've also most importantly understood the importance of thinking. So this book is all about that, okay? And what we're going to be discussing today is that the subject is empowering questions. So we will get there. I do want to talk about empowering questions and what empowering questions mean. But what I do want to do is I want to first explore a little bit about where we're coming from. So I think it's important to discuss a little bit about kind of our past. And one of the things that I say is that, if we look at if we look at the planet, we've been around the planet. They reckon it's been around for 4.5 billion years, and the population has been around 107 billion from the beginning of time. The question is out of the 107 billion that are on the planet, how many really have made an impact? And I know it's difficult to say, but I think we accept mediocrity a lot. People from the beginning of time have actually made a difference. And then, you know, I believe that, you know, the world is changing. I think that with obviously internet now, and where in 1994, I think it was 0.4% of the population had access to internet. You know, now the internet is accessible in 49.2, maybe 49.3% of the population. So that's 3.6 billion people. But there's still a long way to go, because, you know, there's a hell of a lot more people now. What is it? They reckon it's around 7 billion now, 8 billion. We're going to be around 11 billion by 2050. And if we look at what we managed to achieve in these last 50 years, you know, where you know, we've created such phenomenal things. You know, we've traveled to the moon, we've explored and sent you know, probes to the end of the planet. You know, we've created these phenomenal things called I don't know, Skype, Spotify, YouTube. Knowledge is growing at such a rate that if we carry on doing what we're doing, who knows where we're going to go? It's just phenomenal. There's a story that I share here from her name is Louise Leakey, a great name, granddaughter of the famous anthropologist Louise Leakey. Explains in a TED talk that she gave that you know, in those 4.5 billion years, that Homo sapiens have been around for only a tiny fraction of this time. And it says that if there was 400 sheets of a tissue paper in the roll, and I know it's a weird example, but it's the one that she gave, okay? So just bear with me. So there's 400 sheets of tissue paper in a roll. Then the very first life in the oceans is seen at sheet 240, okay? So let's take 240 sheets to get to the very first life in the oceans. The age of the dinosaurs begins in sheet number 19. And then dinosaurs in their many forms and great diversity are around for 14 and a half sheets, and dinosaurs are extinct by the end of, you know, the 5 last squares from the end, making the way for the mammals. So in the last 5 squares is where the mammals came into story. So it's saying our story and place in the timeline as upright walking apes begins only in the last half of the very last sheet. Okay, so the human story as a Homo sapiens is represented by less than 2 millimeters of this time. So that's 200,000 years. So I think, you know, we're in for a treat. And as I said, I think there's around 7.4 billion people on the planet now. And sorry, it's around 9 billion by 2050. I did read, sorry, 11.2 by 2100. And I go through I go through history, and I talk about, you know, kind of like what it must have been to be a Viking, or what it must have been to cross, you know, the Bay of Biscay and just coming, hey, what's on the other side of that sea? Or you know when I don't know, in Egypt, you know, these guys came up with the idea of doing these ridiculous pyramids. I mean, can you imagine what they were visualizing and the questions that they asked themselves, and where they had to bring, you know, these ridiculous rocks from in order to build these phenomenal things? But from the beginning of time, you know, the Roman Empire, you know, what's on the other side of Rome, and what's the other side of the Mediterranean, and look at what the Romans did and what they managed to do. So from the beginning of time, we've been asking the most ridiculous questions. Explorers, inventors, successful business people, entrepreneurs, people that have achieved or thought of phenomenal things to create and invent have asked themselves empowering questions. So there's something to it. You know, when you look at what Tesla created, and you look at some of, you know, you look at Mozart and the music that he created, and he was deaf and blind, and, you know, you can only imagine what he could visualize and what he could see. And I'm going to be talking about that in the book as we move forward. I've got some comments here, and I'm going to read them. Guys saying that with mediocre performance becomes the accepted standard, mediocrity becomes the expected norm. That is a battle we face. Absolutely. I mean, I think kind of like we've lowered the standards with a lot of things that we accept nowadays. We accept mediocrity. You know, I say this a lot of the times at the events that I run. I was thinking, should I call it the mediocre you, the average you, the crap you, the shit you, or maybe the best you? And I thought the best you was probably a better name than all the others. But the fact is that we accept mediocrity. And it shouldn't be accepted. And you shouldn't be accepting mediocrity with yourself either. I don't think, you should accept the fact that, there's things that you haven't done and you keep putting it back. You shouldn't be accepting things that you want to do and you're still waiting for the right time. You shouldn't accept making decisions because you're depending on other people's acceptance and acknowledgement to what they feel is okay and correct for you to do or not to do. You shouldn't take no for an answer. You shouldn't think it's too late. You shouldn't think you don't have all the resources. And again, in the book, I talk at the, we'll cover that at the end in one of the webinars. We'll talk about how fortunate you are. We're very lucky. And I think that's one of the important things, is putting things in context. And by us being as lucky as we are, we have to make sure that we make the best with what we've got. So I think one of the important things, and one of the first questions I want to ask you, and what I will do, if you wanted to, is that, because I really believe that the power of the question varies depending on me asking you the question or you asking yourself the question. Okay, so if I asked you, what are you here for? And I'm saying, not what are you here for today, right now on this webinar. What are you here for on this planet? What is your mission in life? How are you going to create a legacy? How are you going to make a difference? So what are you here for? Ask yourself that question. What am I here for? I would like to hear from you. If it is more empowering, and the results change, there's no right or wrong. Is it more empowering if I ask you the question or if you ask yourself the question? I'm interested in knowing. So please let me know. So what are you here for? Me asking you that question, and please think about it. What are you here for? And then ask yourself, what am I here for? And what I'm going to be doing throughout the whole book, through all the webinars, is to make sure that you ask yourself the most empowering questions as often as possible, especially in moments of adversity, in moments of uncertainty, in moments of when things are getting challenging, in moments when you maybe lack a confidence or self-esteem, or when you feel that you might not have all the answers. I want to make sure that you ask yourself permanently empowering questions, because it's going to trigger something that's going to take you on the right path. So what are you here for? What am I here for? That's one of the things that I would like you to ask yourself. Personal development for me is a way to free up the potential, that you have, that we all have. And in order to do that, what will happen, as I said, is if you do this, then you will make sure, or we can all, make the world a better place. So you need to be honest with yourself. And that's one of the things that I've said on the previous webinar, and I'm going to say every single time. Please be honest with yourself. I think too many people struggle with honesty. Stop lying to yourself. If there's things that you should be doing and you're not doing, call it as it is. Stop procrastinating. Stop lying to yourself. If you know that you've got to exercise, you've got to eat less, or you know that you've got to make certain decisions, you've got to go for it. And you've got to be 100%. Stop letting others create your life, and stop blaming others. And just literally, as I say on the E question, of course, is just, face the music. Deal right now with all the things that you know you need to deal with. So I hope that at the end of this webinar, you're going to ask yourself empowering questions. And we're going to go through some examples here that hopefully might help you. I'm going to ask you a number of questions, and I will review some empowering questions, and we'll obviously review some negative questions. Now, we've gone through the fact of how lucky I feel that we all accept and we all are. And I also believe that what's happened in societies is just, I think everyone, we live in this kind of, everything has to be fast, everything has to be easy, so it's just unrealistic. If we look at what's happening, when you look at Instagram, there's all these happy stories of people, looking great, looking fantastic, looking beautiful. And then on the other hand, you can't see any real life in there. You can't see the facts of life, which is the moments of uncertainty, when you're sweating, when things are hard, when things are tough. So, asking yourself the right questions and making sure that you are honest with yourself and making sure that you are focusing on, putting in the work If you want to lose weight and if you're looking at becoming fitter, if you want to live longer, you will have to exercise and you will have to sweat. Okay. You don't see these guys with six packs, you know, who've just signed up on the gym on a Friday morning, and then on Monday night when they're home, they've got a six pack. It doesn't happen. There's no easy way. And there's a lot of fast and easy. I think if you look at all the companies, you know, just to benefit themselves, and we're all accepting that it's okay, and it's not. And then when we're looking at you know, who can sell more, who can do more, who can take advantage of someone else, that's the mentality that we have nowadays, and it's kind of very fake. So making sure that you start asking yourself empowering questions, making sure that you are focusing on your internal dialogue is the key to this thing. So let's go through a few things here, okay? And again, please, I've got Guy, thank you, he's agreeing with me. And then Andre, asking myself, make me think, make me say the try, okay? Being asked from someone, you just give me some random answer, or just please the person who asked you. Okay, so from what I gather, Andre, you're saying is that asking yourself the question is more empowering. Well, for me, it is. I think obviously someone asking me a question could make me think, but by me asking myself the questions, you see, I don't think it's necessarily, the answer might not come immediately. That's what's great. And I would recommend, if you wanted to, you don't have to, but I'd recommend if you wanted to join me on my Instagram, you'll find me on Instagram in Bernardo-Moya. But I've got some really good things. Obviously, I've been really exploring the value of questions. And there's a quote here that I've got, which I would like to read to you guys. And this one I think is quite deep. He says, he explained to me with great insistence that every question possessed a power that did not lie in the answer. I think that's deep. And I like it because it's true. I'll repeat it. He said, he explained to me that with greatest insistence that every question possessed a power that did not lie in the answer. So there's quite a lot of things that I've been writing and exploring around question, and I believe that what happens when you ask yourself a number of empowering questions, your brain, your mind will go on this phenomenal journey of exploring. Another quote, knowing the answers will help you in school, knowing how to question. So anyway, if you wanted to follow me, you can follow me, Bernardo Moya, on Instagram. Also, I've got one for the question -Bernardo.Moya, if you wanted to join me there. So let's explore, what does it mean to ask the right questions? Weenie is saying, to live my full potential, die empty, having fully given out my full potential gift. Okay, this is Weenie. Thank you so much, Weenie. Liam is saying that asking yourself the questions is a lot more powerful. Asking yourself the questions is a lot more powerful as you spend the most time with yourself, and we speak to ourselves a lot more than others. So the answer is a lot more thorough. Okay, I completely agree. I personally believe, and it is the norm, that asking yourself these empowering questions, and that's why I think you having your own diary where you're writing empowering questions relating to your personal life, related to professional life, related to your purpose. Now, the title of the book is The Question, Find Your True Purpose. I believe that if you ask yourself empowering questions, you will start finding the answers. By you finding the answers, what it means is that you will start living a fulfilled life, which means that you will ultimately have a purpose in life. And having a purpose should take you ultimately with the idea to leaving a legacy. I think if we procreate, if we have kids, if we write books, if we coach, if we speak, if we train, if we build companies, we go out there and we say kind words to people, is because we want to leave some kind of legacy. So ultimately, that's what I've come to. I've come to that conclusion, that I think that really our mission in life is to find our purpose and to leave a legacy. So let me see, I've got something else here. So the question, when I started, was, what are you here for? Is because I wanted you to take a few minutes and just please make sure that you write that question down, because I would like you to spend 10 minutes, and don't do it now, maybe do it tomorrow morning. Just simply write some of these questions that maybe hit home, that maybe are empowering to you, write them down, and then I want you just to simmer, let them go in, and just simply just quiet your mind and just leave the question in there. And if you ask it repetitively, you're going to start finding the answers. Let me ask you, any of you, have you gone to sleep, to bed, with something that was troubling you? Or maybe you woke up in the middle of the night, and then maybe at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, things start coming to you. You start having the answers. Has that happened to anyone else, please? Am I the only one? Guy, frequently. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Yeah, so do I. That's why it is so powerful to make sure that you're asking yourself. Now, I found myself doing this, and I've said this in the first webinar. Because I wrote this book and I started asking myself in the first person empowering questions, I had to ask myself these questions, and I had to make some tough decisions. And I've made some tough decisions, and it's at the end of my book, but I've made some massive personal decisions because of the book. So I can tell you, it has had an impact in my life. But let me ask you some more questions. And again, if I ask others, could be your loved ones. What do I want for others? Do you ever ask yourself these questions? I ask you these questions. How much time did you dedicate to thinking about these questions? What do you want to get from this book? What do you want to set up today? Who needs you? Who needs me? What are your plans? What are my plans? What do you really want to do? What are the excuses you make for not making these things happen? What are the excuses I am making for these things to not happen? So those are some questions that I'm just leaving here with you. But maybe you think you haven't got the money to change your life. Maybe you think it's everyone else's problem. And again, I was talking about the business of being honest with yourself, okay? I'm going to ask you, if you're going to read this book, if you're going to be following me, if you want to carry on listening, I'm just simply going to ask you, stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. That's the first thing you've got to do. And I've said this, if you had a friend that was permanently lying to you, permanently telling you lots of crap, eventually I would hope you tell them, listen, just piss off, will you? And it's the same with you. Tell that liar within you that is not honest with yourself, just tell them to go away, tell them to shut the fuck up, as Richard Bandler would say, and just listen to your honest self and start asking yourself empowering questions that are thought-provoking. Guy saying that I rely on my subconscious to derive solutions. Absolutely. And that's one of the things that Richard says, you know, and we know that unconsciously, you know, you're brushing your teeth, or you're driving and before you realize you got there, or sometimes you didn't even realize that you put your keys and you got them in your hand, or and so on and so on and so on. So unconsciously we're capable of phenomenal things. So plant those seeds, plant those empowering questions. Okay, so let's look at some negative questions that you could ask yourself. So now, why am I so lazy? Is that an empowering question? Of course not. It's not an empowering question. But people get up in the morning and they look at themselves in the mirror. Oh my God, why am I so lazy? Why can't I do this? Oh, why doesn't no one like me? Or, you know, why can't I lose weight? Or why can't I find love? Why does no one love me anymore? Or why do people take advantage of me all the time? You know, or hold on, let's another. Why can't I study? Why can't I get my book finished? Why can't I get my book published? Why can't I get the dream job? Oh my God, can you hear it? I seriously would like to kill someone that had that internal dialogue. I would like to kill the voice, not the person. I would like to kill the voice. And as we know, in NLP, you can change the voice and you can just change the tonality of the voice. So it's a voice that's more empowering, that helps you. But if it's a negative voice, you've got to give it that stupid voice so you can tell it to go and whistle. Now, obviously, if you ask yourself those disempowering questions, what's going to happen? Well, if you say, oh my God, why am I so lazy? Unconsciously, you're going to find the 373 reasons of why you're so lazy. because you don't exercise, because you didn't exercise, because your friend didn't like you, because it's someone else's fault. Oh, because my flat's too small, whatever. Why can't I lose weight? Oh, because it's someone else's fault. He broke my heart, she broke my heart, and now I have to eat cake to get over it. Unconsciously, you will start finding answers for all these negative questions that you ask yourself. Taka is saying that I have moments of greatness. I want to learn to move forward harmoniously with life. Okay, Taka, well, let's do that. So I've given you some examples of disempowering questions. Does anyone talk to themselves like that? Does anyone find themselves like that, saying negative? Do that? Oh, none. Okay, great. Well, I love that this is the honesty group. So obviously you are very advanced. And the fact is, yes, some of you must do, okay? Because sometimes, you know, hey, even, well done. Thank you, Val. You raised your hand. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think everyone does. And the thing is simply, all I'm asking you just to simply be aware of that and making sure that we are aware of what we're saying, yeah? So we have to change that internal dialogue. We have to make sure that we start to ask ourselves empowering questions permanently, constantly, and all the time for every situation that we have. So questions that empower you. So you could say, am I really overweight? And the answer might be yes. And if it is, okay, do I need to lose weight? And what would happen if I didn't? Oh, well, I might die. I might have high blood pressure. I might not be able to see my kids grow. I might not be able to live a fulfilled life or live a long life. I might not be able to help and inspire others or inspire my kids. What will happen if I do? What will happen if I do? What will happen if I lose weight? And then, you know, you can start making all these great pictures in your head. Responsibility and accountability is the key, Fatima says. Absolutely. Carol, learning every day. Love it. Taka, it makes me laugh. I know, it makes me laugh as well. The question, sorry, was, do I know how to lose weight? And the answer is yes. Don't buy the cake. Don't eat the chips. Don't eat all the pasta. Don't open the fridge every 15 minutes. Stop procrastinating. Start exercising. Someone says that we've got the hole up here is much bigger than the hole down there. So we need to make this hole a little bit smaller. Does that make sense? Yeah. What ways have I tried that didn't work? And how can I find new ways that would work? So this is related to simply weight loss. But what I wanted to do in this exercise and what we're doing here today was to simply explore asking yourself empowering questions and making sure that you start literally, it starts becoming part of your internal dialogue and you carry on exploring what it is that you're here for. Now, I'm going to share a few other things. Obviously, when it comes down to, you know, empowering questions, there's all sorts of things, you know, that you should be asking yourself on a daily basis. And you know, how can I become more active? How much better can I feel today? You know, how can I deal wisely with those who hurt me? Basically, get rid of them. How can I learn today? Or what can I learn today? Where can I find like-minded people? How can I live a life that is fulfilling? What can I read on my commute to work? What other great ideas do I have? What other great ideas haven't I come up with yet? How can I serve others? So I would like you to write a long list of empowering questions that you can really apply for anything that is personally, something that's professionally, and something that can help you globally, okay? And obviously, I want you to make sure that you are, you know, being aware of the conscious decisions that you're making when you might be permanently lying to yourself and permanently not being aware of what you're saying. Now, at this point, what I wanted to do before I just go on, and we haven't got a lot more to go, but I wanted to, is there any questions anyone would like to share? A couple of things. Ivorly's saying just a couple of my personal questions, empowering question. I used to, when I feel offended, who is offended? The immortal and infinite soul. That is my ego. Yes, absolutely. This empowering question. Why am I so needy with women. I really like. Okay, that's great. The bottom line is that if we're speaking to someone that we love, that we appreciate, a true friend, someone that tells us the truth. We all need that, don't we? We need someone that's going to tell us the truth. My advice to you is if you're doing this to someone else, is to always say it with love. I mean, we always say, look, whatever I'm going to say to you, I'm going to say with love. So this is what I love about you, my friend. I love this, and this. This is what I don't love so much, okay? And then this is what I would do differently. So this is kind of what we do within the legacy clubs. But I think it's really important when you're going to be talking to someone to make sure that you say something from a place of love. But when someone is giving us an honest opinion, and if we are honest, we have to be honest. If we're looking at ourselves and we are overweight, or we haven't made that drastic decision that we should be making, then we just simply got to be honest, but we got to accept honesty. And unfortunately, sometimes it is the ego that gets in the way. Ivalo, so I completely agree. Do you allocate yourself a specific time to think about the things that are matters to you? You know what I've started doing? What I've started doing is when I'm struggling with decisions, with things that I have to do, with challenges that I have, I do write down the questions. I ask myself empowering questions. And for me, what is very powerful is to ask myself empowering questions when I go to sleep. I tend to wake up sometimes at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm thinking about something unconsciously that I should have done, or I should do, or I could do, and I haven't done it. And what it allows me to do is by me thinking about it, because I am thinking about it, and then I start asking myself empowering questions, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, I have the answers in the morning. And if I don't have the answers, I wake up with different kinds of answers, or I'm on the lookout for the answers. I believe anything is, and you ask yourself the right questions, you will start finding the answers. Sorry, I think I got cut off there. I'm just saying is that if you do ask yourself those right empowering questions, you're going to find the right answers. Okay. So any other questions, anyone? Anything in particular that you would like to ask me related to kind of the question, because I will be sharing a few links in a minute, and I will be sharing some of the things that I'm going to be talking about in the coming months. Sorry, in the coming weeks. Now, I know some of you have filled in that you don't have the book. I do want to tell you that the book is available on Amazon, amazon.co.uk. If you have read the book, I would love you putting a review in there. You can also get it on amazon.com. I'm providing in the question.co, I'm providing the book for free. You have to pay for the shipping, but I got to tell you, the shipping is around the £7, which is the same price that Amazon charges. Because I'm providing kind of daily tips and ideas that where I am asking you empowering questions. And then also you can ask yourself those questions. And I'm putting kind of video daily tips in there. The other thing is, I'm sorry to hear, Zara, that the book hasn't arrived yet. Please let me know. Send me an email to info@thebestyou.co, Zara. Send me an email to info@thebestyou.co, and I will look into it if you have bought the book. They have been shipped. Taka said, I brought my wife and 2 sons, 10 or 12, the Best You convention in London. Oh, you bought it this year? Okay, great. And it was a big part of the demonstrator to my family what my legacy is. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you so much, Taka. I'm blessed and honored. I can't wait to run this and a lot of the legacy clubs, which is what I'm doing with and sharing the ideas around the question. But what I wanted to say is that I am offering an e-course is there as well, because I feel that some people are more visual. So I've got a series of videos where I am questioning a number of things. So there's eight subjects that I cover on the e-course. And what I cover on the e-course is obviously what you're here for, the wrong questions, empowering questions, success, what it is and what it isn't, finding your purpose, creating a legacy, how to embrace change, honesty and questions, and then the one big question. So there's 8 modules on the power of the question e-course. It's $59 if you've already bought the book. You can get that, or you can find it at thequestion.co. There's a link there for the e-course. But this is a movement. For me, it's a movement. I'm simply trying to get people to become aware of their internal dialogue and start asking themselves empowering questions. Okay, it really isn't rocket science, but I do hope that we can start creating a vision and an idea around asking ourselves empowering questions that will help us find and understand our purpose, what we're here for, on the focusing more on legacy. And then we will start creating awareness around the things that are important. I talk in the book at the end about slavery, 34 million slaves, talk about global warming, talk about racism, talking about, education, the lack of education, talking about the things that are important, how we're killing, the wildlife. There's just so many things that are important, and we're only going to do that if we start improving our mindset. And then we've got them pretty much now launching all over the world. Dallas is our new one. Temecula in California, Calabasas, launching one in Greece, launching one in Bucharest. So there's legacy clubs launching all over the world. If you want to find out more, go to thebestyoulegacyclub.com. So I'll share that, but it's thebestyoulegacyclub.com. If you wanted to take advantage, as I said, go to Amazon, but and go to Amazon if you wanted to find the book, question.co. You're going to see a lot of resources that are available there, and all the links are pretty much there. Okay. So I wanted to know, any more questions, anyone? Because I would like to share with you what we're going to be discussing next week. So next Tuesday, I'm not sure if you've signed up. All the webinars are going to be different. Okay, they're going to have all different energy, and we're going to have more interaction, and a lot of them are going to be kind of like, obviously different. So the next time, what I'm going to be talking about is the three inner, basically the inner you and the three key traits to successful people. And what that is, in my opinion, is resilience, revolution, which is change, and reinvention. So that's a very interesting subject. It's a very interesting topic. I'm a big, massive fan of resilience. I know we all have inner resilience within us. I'm going to talk about change and how amazing change is, how exciting it can be. And we're going to talk about reinvention. I'm going to share some stories of some of my heroes and people that have done phenomenal things. Let's see, we have another question here. Thank you, Tanushree, for being here. Well, we're pretty much now to the end of it. Anyone have any other questions? My question to you is, how amazing are you going to become? How are you going to make a difference on this planet? How are you going to inspire your kids? When will you stop procrastinating about becoming great? When will you go for everything? When will you become the best version of yourself? How long will it take you? When will you get there? What will it look like? How exciting will it be? How great can it be? How will people look to you? How will they look up to you when you become great, phenomenally inspiring, and when you find your legacy? How fantastic and exciting is it going to be when you really know what your purpose is? Because I believe your purpose is going to change. Your purpose might change every day. It will change. You might want to do something today, but it might be something completely different. And that's great. It's exciting. So many people want to be carrying on doing the same things. I don't get it. Those that read the books, those that attend the seminars, those that make notes. Oh my God, there's so many people that make so many notes. I don't know where those notes go. And they really haven't changed much. They're still in the same place that they were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. And then there's those that go out and make a difference. I want us, all of us, to become those. I want us to become those that people look up to, those that we look up to, those that we want to find phenomenal inspiration. It's okay. Fatima's writing for me in Spanish. So, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited. Thank you for filling in the poll. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week. The webinar is happening next week. Zara, sorry, last thing. I'm ready for the best version of me. I can make a positive contribution to our lives, and I touch physically or virtually. Taika, thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Have a lovely evening. Hopefully to see you next Tuesday. Thank you so much. Lots of love. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.